Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke is made possible by our guests and tax-deductible donations from friends and listeners like you. Join us in empowering stroke survivors with stories of wisdom, purpose, connection, and hope at www.beyondstillness.org.
This week on Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke, we spotlight guest Lou Roselli from Redwood City, California. He loves hosting people in his home, especially now that he remodeled to make it spacious and light. Lou suffered a stroke in 2021. In his story, Lou shares specific strategies he now employs to try to brighten outlook on life. His story is entitled, Lou, You Do Look Like Yourself. Thank you for joining us for part 2, Lou Roselli's interview. Hello and welcome to Beyond Stillness. Stroke offers a powerful, life-changing shift in perspective. Each colorful memory creates a parable for life's greater teachings, a compass for journeys ahead, and inspired wisdom for unique growth. This radio show, Beyond Stillness, offers an hour of pause for storytelling and reflection. Ultimately, Beyond Stillness is a welcoming environment that reveres the moment beyond stroke's paralysis. Still moments unite humanity and divinity. I'm your host, Molly Bucola. Today, we welcome guest Lou Roselli, a husband, father, brother, and friend to many. Lou lives in Redwood City, California. He is an avid San Francisco Giants, San Francisco 49ers, and Golden State Warriors fan. Yeah. He has spent most of his life working in property management and loves hosting people at his home. Lou suffered a stroke in 2021. His story is entitled, Lou, You Do Look Like Yourself. Before we begin, we're going to take a moment of pause. Thinking of our own lives, our own bodies, as hosts, creating space for ourselves and for others to come on in, to be themselves, to gather, to inspire, to feel loved. Today, we think of our own lives as a way to create space for community, for joy, for laughter, also a space to hold those hard times. Today, we give thanks for who we are as unique individuals and who we are as family members, as friends. We're also grateful for the experiences that we've gone through so that now we may use those experiences to support others. Hi, Lou.
Hi, Molly.
In your story, you mentioned that your dad had a stroke and that he was unable to speak, walk, or feed himself. You mentioned that he was 63 and you were 65 at the point that you had your stroke.
It was always in the back of my head about the timing of my age and the historical events that my father had and that I witnessed. And so I was familiar. I was always, I'm on my heels anticipating someday this might happen to me. And I didn't dwell on it, but if it's in your DNA, there's really no choice there. All I can do is just quit my bad habits that can contribute to a stroke.
Mm. It's interesting. You said after they told you in the hospital that you had a stroke, you were confused and you're like, wait a minute, this doesn't look like my dad's stroke. And then you said, I was afraid that it was going to happen again or get worse. Can you tell me about that moment and those thoughts?
Yeah, that was the week that I was in the hospital thinking of, is this going to happen again? Or is this a time delay thing? Or would I get another episode in my blood circulating through my body and through my brain? I was trying to be even careful about even doing too much exercise. I didn't want to lodge any pieces loose in my body, only because that's what basically caused it. Something got into my blood vessel, and it had, adverse reaction to my brain. It didn't allow blood and oxygen to get to my brain. So when I thought about the reality of it all, it was always on my mind, especially when my father, he had so many years ahead of him still. He tried to go back to work as well too, but he didn't make it because he was totally bored out of his skull being at home and doing nothing, because he was a very, again, energetic person. And I saw that. I saw that he wanted to get outside so bad, and he was trapped inside his body because he knew what he wanted to say. And I, on the other hand, I talk too much. And everything that comes to mind, I say, which is the complete opposite of where my father was. My father knew what he wanted to say, but physically he just couldn't.
And it's interesting, you were talking about how he was active and he wasn't able to do that. And after your stroke, what you're saying in your story is that you try to get outside and play basketball, and you try to walk, and you play the accordion. It sounds like you're being very intentional about keeping active.
Yeah, I don't like to waste away, basically. And there are days where I feel that's what I'm doing. I'm watching a lot of news, a lot of TV right now because of politics that's going on in the nation, with a lot of these primaries going on. So I'm very interested in where we're going politically.
I'm going to reel us back in a little bit here. In your story, after you failed the neuropsychology test, you said, I guess I was confused and in denial. I think that there's a lot of confusion after stroke and a lot of denial. Can you tell me about how that comes to play within your face?
Well, the denial is, I feel so confident in myself that I feel that I'm able to do a lot of things that I'm told that I'm not as good as I used to be. But I demonstrate to myself that I am just as good, maybe not better, but just as good. And I strive to get better as a whole. But I don't let that get me down. I try not to, again, dwell on it. But sometimes the mind takes over. When I was in high school, I remember one of my teachers said, sometimes the mind will mug you. She was a psychiatrist, actually. It was an anthropology class that I took. And she was fascinating, but it always stuck in my head. Don't let things mug your mind, because your mind can be ambushed by different things. But as long as you stay in control of your thoughts and your wits about you, where I found it's much harder for me to do that because I lost that part of control after the stroke. And I had that control, and I felt more sure of myself, dealing with small things, interpreting things as well too. Interpreting conversation or subjects that I read takes me a little longer to read because I want to make sure I miss what the intent was in that paragraph. So I'll reverse and start again. I find myself doing that a lot, only because I feel guilty about going too fast. And I wanted to absorb as much as I can in the process of say, reading, whether it's a historical event or how things are done, whether it's in the practical world or how things were put together in a historical sense, how things grow into each other. I look at that as being my life as well, too. How can I restructure my life to where I was pre-stroke?
Lou, there's so much wisdom that you just shared in that moment. One, from your high school teacher, don't let the mind mug you.
Yeah, it was a profound statement that I never forgot about.
Yeah. And the other one, you said it's important to slow down and that you want to make sure you get everything. You want to make sure you see the connection, the flow, even the history behind. And then you applied that to life. You said, that's what I think in most things now. I want to slow down and make sure that I'm gathering it. Is that right? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah. It's one of my faults is that I've always been a perfectionist. Whenever I handled or tackled, I've always wanted to make the best of it. I wanted to be the best in sports. I always wanted to be the best musician. I always wanted to be the best at what I like to do. And I'm influenced by a lot of great people that have achieved all that. And that's my inspiration, is that it can be done if you apply yourself enough. But now, post-stroke, I have to apply myself a little more than I used to before.
How are you applying yourself to be the best at recovery?
Again, not giving up, sticking with it 24/7. Even the little things always add up to big things. I try not to tell myself that I'm wasting my time. Sometimes that little voice on my shoulder tells me, Lou, you're not as good as you used to be, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, go away. I'd like to zap that out of my mind, only because, again, the mind will mug you if you stay on course with the wrong things. So I keep trying to, for my betterment, for myself, it makes me feel better when I achieve positive things. And it makes other people around me feel better as well, too. Because I get feedback. That's really important to me.
Yeah. You mentioned that you felt supported and challenged by the occupational therapists at Redwood City Kaiser. Can you tell us more about therapy there? And when you said that you could feel it helping, what does that feel like?
The menial games we were playing, I found it easier to cope with, to find a way in and find a way out, whichever game I was playing. Some of it was getting tied up in a parking lot with imaginary cars and driving out of that parking lot through the correct driveway without smashing into a car. So there was different processes I had to go through. I would buy a book of mazes. You'd start at point A and then B and try to figure out, without lifting up your pencil and taking the right turn, whether it continue to go straight or taking a left turn, and try to see where I'm going to end up at if I take this route. So I found that was very, very beneficial. And another was also word games, finding words in a paragraph. Say a certain subject, and you have a list of words, and you have to find those words, but not spending too much time at it, trying to time yourself to do it as quickly as possible. So I bought several books on word search. And they seem to really help, just keep me sharp. And I still do that today. In fact, when I sit outside of my backyard, last summer, that's all I did. I would sit out there, go through books, and tide myself, and I felt like I was getting somewhere. I felt like I was accomplishing what they're instructing me to do to get better. And I felt really comfortable with it. I mean, it's a boring thing to do. Sometimes I'll do crossword puzzles, which sometimes I don't have the patience for. my wife and my mother-in-law, they like to work on jigsaw puzzles, 1,500 pieces, big ones.
Huh.
I never have passion to do that. They love it. In their free time, they sit in the living room, got them some nice lights. So even on dark days like today, they're able to, without squinting, see what's going on. So again, I like to help any way I can to have them enjoy themselves. All these little things really add up a lot to make me feel better about myself and about the future.
Huh. So with practice, you got better, but you also had the staying power to continue practicing.
Because it's not that I'm pushing the envelope. I could really push the envelope if I wanted to, but I really don't want to. I'd rather take it in stride. Change is good by evolution versus revolution. So it's not that I go at glacial pace. I just want to be more sure of myself that I'm going in the right direction.
Yeah. And you also mentioned briefly that you like to create the space for your wife and mother-in-law, and you do so for your friends and family. You talked about liking to host people, but you also have all these handy talents and tools. You remodeled your house. You were able to create a whole backyard sanctuary. I loved your term, paradise oasis. I thought that was beautiful. So can you tell me now, as post-stroke Lou, what you're contributing to others? Because I think it's really important to focus on ways that we continue to contribute.
I'm not sure if I'm contributing in any way to others to what I'm doing, other than make them feel better that I'm going in the right direction. Because whenever they ask me how I'm doing, it's family or friends, and I tell them I'm doing great. Physically, I feel fine. I feel 100%. I'm still there to answer questions. I'm still there. They still can rely on my expertise and my knowledge, which I feel proud that I have, because I'm always asking questions, and I'm always in the mood to learn something new. They want to hear what I have to say, but I also want to hear what they have to say as well too, not just with the reaction to what's going on in my life, but they might even have suggestions as well too on how I approach doing certain things like music or what have you. It's more of practice, take your time, because when you practice makes perfect, but don't get discouraged if you can't achieve that goal that you're after.
And Lou, you have said before that your door is always open. And I think that not only are you good at asking questions, you're a good listener too. And so I'm sure that that's a big contribution to your friends and family as well. Yeah. Lou, you play the accordion. People say that learning music is like learning another language. And you mentioned that you had to relearn how to play the accordion.
There's a lot of moving parts in an accordion, and to get comfortable, because I've been playing it so long, since I was 7 years old, it's almost an extension of my body.
Wow.
It's in me. It's once I put it on, I just start playing. And I still have to think about what I'm going to do, but my reaction time between thinking what I'm doing and applying that to my fingers in tempo and hitting the correct notes, a lot of that it's sinking in where it's getting better, where again I'm practicing, and the more I practice, the better I'm getting at it. And familiarizing how I used to do it. And again, it's all memory. A lot of these songs I learned when I was a little kid. I started playing when I was 7 years old. And
wow,
my teacher was very strict. Sometimes if I didn't do my lesson plan for the week correctly, he used to hit me across the back of the head.
Oh gosh.
But that was the old Italian way, right? But he was very good at it. Him and his wife, his name was Dino Benetti. He's been long past. And his wife, Edna, I started with her. She was an accordion teacher too. They both played accordion.
Can you tell me a little bit about your thoughts and feelings when you picked it back up and realized that you had to relearn. How did you get through that?
Very difficult, very, very hard. I had to slow down and repeat over and over and over again. I used to do a lot of exercises. My teacher used to give me fingering exercises, scales, chromatic scales. It would also condition my finger movement and placement, because that was really, really important when I was learning how to play music. He used to make sure that I used the right fingers, hitting the right notes, all in order. Post-stroke, I have to teach myself the same way again, pulling out a lot of that dormant thoughts in my brain that I still have it floating around in there to relearn this instrument and relearn it well enough to play it where people can enjoy it, where I could enjoy it as well, too. It's still a struggle.
It's still a struggle. And how do you get through the frustration?
Just take my time. I don't try to hurry myself. And, especially through a passage of the song, don't play it so quickly. Slow it down. Again, that makes more sense to do that because you not only get your fingers in the right position, but you're also making sense in the song that it flows this way. So that's what fingering does, is to make sure you've got the right fingers playing the right notes to make the song flow.
Slow down in order to make it flow. I love it, Lou.
Right. Even if you get frustrated, again, I back off, give myself a break, start breathing, and just walk away from it. Even physically leave the room, physically leave the area, and go back to it and sit down and go back at it slowly.
That wisdom can be applied to all recovery. The mental process, the emotional process. We're having a hard day.
Yeah.
Step away.
Yeah.
And come back.
Step away. That's what I reflect and think about. Think about what I was doing, what I was trying to do, and okay, what can I do to make it better?
Yeah.
And in that reflection, that's where I would straighten out my path and what I was doing. Just making sure I take my time and not to get frustrated and don't give up. Just keep going forward.
Yeah. In closing, Lou, what's your wisdom that you want to offer other stroke survivors?
Oh, wow. Never give up hope, to adapt to the new way you have to exist and do things. Sometimes think outside the box. There might be easier ways of doing certain small tasks instead of looking at it straight on. And again, leave the room, take a break, and regroup and start again. Try to start again on the right foot, in the right direction. I really disciplined in my brain to come up with easier ways to approach what I'm doing and re-stimulating my neurons through different ways as well too. And try to get as much sleep as I can. Very helpful. I never even used to nap. Now I nap every day. And I feel refreshed and reinvigorated after my nap. From my heart, we all wish things could be done better and feel better and think better in an instant, but it's not as easy as it used to be. And it's not as spontaneous as it used to be. It's a learning process all over again. It's another way to look at it, another way to life and love. Yeah. I keep reverting back to never give up. As we say in Italian, sapere avanti. Let's go forward.
Thank you, Lou.
You're welcome. My pleasure. It's opening my eyes to a different chapter in this recovery. Very informative. And I'm still listening to other people that you've interviewed on my walks. I look forward to it every day.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you. That's the whole point, that we're not in this alone. We share our stories and we listen to each other's stories. We all have our own wisdom and wisdom that we can share, and we all have areas to learn. We are not alone. We support and we are inspired. And you did that today, Lou. Thank you.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Let's close with a moment of intention, a moment of pause, calling to mind the wisdom that Lou shared today. Never give up. When the going gets tough, and it does get tough, help us to take deep breaths, maybe even step away from the situation, allowing ourselves to see beauty in other things within our lives, maybe other people, other places, allowing our minds and our hearts to open in other areas before returning to that which was frustrating or challenging, so that then we may approach it with an open mind, an open heart, and a new way about us. There's always an answer. There's always hope. And today we ask for an open mind, an open heart, and a sense of hope, so that we can continue on our journey and overcome those challenges. Thank you for devoting time and space to listen to Part 2, Lou Roselli's interview. For the full story, please listen to Part 1, Lou Roselli's story. Each colorful memory creates a parable for life's greater teachings, a compass for journeys ahead, and inspired wisdom for unique growth. In this episode of Beyond Stillness, guest Lou Roselli from Redwood City, California, shared his story entitled, "Lou, You Do Look Like Yourself." Lou offered specific strategies he employs to try to brighten his outlook on life. If you enjoyed this moment of pause for storytelling and reflection, please like, share, or subscribe to the Beyond Stillness Stories After Stroke podcast. Again, thanks for listening. And remember, as part of the stroke community, you are more than supportive. You are inspirational.
If you are part of the stroke community and have a story you'd like to share on the show, please contact us. Email molly@beyondstillness.org.
Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke is made possible by our guests and tax-deductible donations from friends and listeners like you. Join us in empowering stroke survivors with stories of wisdom, purpose, connection, and hope at www.beyondstillness.org. Another way to support is to like, share, or subscribe to our weekly show. Again, thank you for devoting time and space for this week's episode of Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke.